One of the biggest misses that I see in local SEO is not trying to rank in search. And so, with this strategy for building out city pages and service pages that I'm going to show you here, you're going to be able to do two things, maybe even three things at once by being able to target both search, maps, and potentially AI content and LLMs as well. So let me take you through how I like to build city pages that can rank in multiple locations and make your effort so much more efficient, right, than I think the standard method. Now, when I say the standard method, what I see a lot of people doing is basically closing their eyes and shooting and looking for a place where they can build a page about a service or a neighborhood or a city or whatever. And while I think this is unlikely to work well from the tests I've run, I don't think that those are going to necessarily hurt you. But I think there's a lot of pages, better pages that you can build for your business first before you get into all that stuff. So let me jump into this and let's go through my process of creating these pages and I'll show you how to do it. So let's start here. I'm just going to pull up a little spreadsheet here and pull up my hrefs and let's do this. So we want to start by first just figuring out what we're going to target. So, I'm going to be talking mostly about city pages, but I really have to talk about keywords and I really have to talk about the home page and what we're doing with all these because it's part of the conversation. But let's just start with the keywords. So we want to figure out what are the services. Start with that. So I'm just going to take a plumber, for example, and let's run through some of the services. Now, you want to talk to the customer, or if it's your business, you want to ask yourself, what's going on? What do we do? But then you're going to want to go through all of your competitors, right? Go through some of the bigger businesses and figure out what are the services we offer, what are other people offering, and make a list, put it into chat, and come up with that list. So, we have our regular plumbing services. Let's say we have water heater services, right? Gas line services. Those we'll just use for the sake of this outline and go with this. So I'm also going to say that we're in Dallas. Okay. So this will be our little example. So once you've built out a full list of all the potential services, you're going to want to build a list of all of the cities. So let's just go through and build that really quick. If I'm going to target Dallas, let's say I want to say, there might be stuff here like West Dallas, right? And if you live in the area, it's going to be a lot easier for you to think about what are the places that people are going to be searching for, right? So Irving, right? Let's just put some of these in here. Cedar Crest, right? So that gives us a list. Once again, you're going to want to build out your list. And it doesn't matter how many pages we come up with here. You might come up with 10, you might come up with 100. You don't have to build these all in one day. We're just making a plan here and looking for everything people search for. That is my whole entire approach to SEO. You don't need to guess. We can figure out what people are actually doing, and then we can reverse engineer that. Your job as an SEO should always be reverse engineering what works. You never have to guess. So now we can come in with this list and we can start going through some of these keywords. So let's start with plumber in Dallas. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put all of the words that I can think of. This is how Ahrefs works. Other tools might work differently. But if I just put plumber, it's going to miss plumbers, right? Plumbing. So I want to put all of those variations I can think of the word in here, and then go to matching terms, right? And I'm going to include Dallas in this. Now, what this is going to do is it's going to give me a list of what people are searching for, and we can go in here and start to pull out some of the searches that are going to be unique to each other. So plumber, Dallas. If that is going to be our primary search that we want to target, great. Now, I don't want to have this giant list. I want to pick a search that we're going to target for a page and then go to the next page. I don't need to have 100 different searches for one page that I'm following. For me, I like to pick one target and go for it. I might put a little more thought into this plumber Dallas. What do we pick for this page? But for the most part, understand I'm going to grab something, right? So now all of these really are the same thing. Cheap plumber, best plumber, plumber. These aren't really unique terms. Plumbing supply is unique, right? But most plumbers aren't going to be a plumbing supply, so I can ignore that. Here's one that I like, repair. You see this with a lot of local businesses: repair, installation, replacement, maintenance. Those are kind of your unique keywords. But that is another page I would create, is plumbing repair. You might take a note of emergency. If the customer's business does emergency, then that might be a good page to make as well, because it is unique in my mind. Commercial, I like to consider that unique, and we can always remove pages later if they're not doing what we need them to do, right? So there isn't anything hurting. Plumbing and air conditioning, if they do both, then you're going to want to take note of that. Plumbing companies, I would include that obviously in this main category, but we're going to potentially talk about what to do with the homepage here. So I'm going to snag that. And then, the other question, do we have like repair, or replacement, installation? No, there's none of those. And I can use this sidebar to see some of the bigger, reviews. That's good, right? The reason that is a good target is because we're probably going to have a reviews page anyways, right? So I might as well target a keyword with that page, right? So you can see I can go through here and I can find any of these that are going to be completely unique. And that's probably it for our plumbers. But now I would go through for water heater and find those, and then gas line and find those, and whatever searches, I'm going to go through and find the searches that are going to be unique that I can make a page on. And then I'm going to go through and do that for every location and see if there's search keywords. So is there a West Dallas? There is not. Is there a North Dallas? Oh, it has reviews. So yeah, let's try West real quick. So West Dallas does not have its own plumbing search terms, but North Dallas does. So plumber in North Dallas. Now, if I'm kind of looking at this with, these are my primary services I want to offer for Dallas. Now I'm going to make a list for North Dallas and go through that for all of these terms here, because they might be different, right? People search different things, that's just the nature of it. And you might be targeting different ways of searching. So it's important to have some kind of keyword, right? So I can go through and do this for every city and every service, and I might discover new services. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have this giant list. Okay, great. Now, okay, so now instead of me going and guessing, do I want to make a North Dallas, a West Dallas, a East Dallas, a South Dallas? Do I want to make a neighborhood page, right, for some neighborhood down here called, Winnetka Heights, whatever? Like, I already am going to have, 50 to 100 real pages with search volume. The map often does what the map does, right? I like to look for places where my impact can be measured. And in search, if this is already going to impact Google Maps, then I might as well watch the search and see if I can get up in the search and rank those keywords in search, because the map, right, is not going to be as one-to-one. So I'm doing what everybody else is doing, but with an extra benefit. And same with AI, right? So I think always look for places where you can have a measurable result and potentially have a positive impact in other areas. So I see this as doing 2 or 3x the benefit, getting 2 or 3x the benefit for the work. So cool. Now you're going to have this list of pages to create. Now let me really quick just talk about silos and how I silo these off and how that applies to the homepage. So each of these is going to have 3, 4, 5 different search terms. Let's just start with these 4. So I'm going to consider this my silo, right? A silo. Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's just copy this. We'll put it here. Okay, so these are a silo. That means what I'm going to do is on these pages, I'm going to internally link to each one of these from each page, from each other page in the silo. I'm going to do that in the text, and I'm going to have a variety. So if Plumbers Dallas, I might link to that with Plumbers in Dallas, plumbing experts in Dallas, plumbing contractors in Dallas, Dallas plumbers, Dallas plumbing experts, right? That kind of a variety, right? So you internal link them all. I like to put a menu on the page as well that shows all those, but also use text links because those are more powerful to internal link. This way, I'm not trying to internal link to another 100 pages. I want these pages to strengthen each other through this. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my top pages, my whatever your home page is, and then your primary keywords, or primary service pages. And I'm not saying every service page. If you have a lot of service pages, you just want to take the top level. So in this case, maybe plumbing, water heaters, gas line, maybe those are my primary service pages. I'm going to link to those, maybe in a menu as well, and then link to the home page through a text link and potentially the menu. So understand the links you put in the body of your content are more powerful than whatever you put in the navigation and in the footer, right? So this way, it's something I can chew, right? 4 links, 5 links in these pages, and then do it again with the next set, do it again with water heaters, do it again with the gas lines, right? Awesome. But that leads me to this last question, which is, so what do we do with the homepage? This is where I say, unless you have multiple states or multiple locations to the point where somebody would be confused, and I don't even think this, I think this is overblown, but in most cases, I'd say in most cases, you can use your homepage and your primary service pages to rank for a city. So if I'm a plumber in Dallas and I just have a Dallas, or maybe I have a Dallas and an Austin and that's it, okay? I'm going to use my homepage to rank for plumbing companies in Dallas, right? This is going to be my homepage. And this is going to be these are going to be small silos, right? In a bigger silo that is my homepage and then the top level categories. So my homepage, this water heater page, right? I would call this service 1, right? We have primary service 1 or primary service 2. This is my plumber in Dallas is primary service 1. My homepage is plumbing companies in Dallas, then plumbers in Dallas or plumbing contractor in Dallas, right? So I'm going to try to give that a unique spin. Then I have the silo down here, the plumbing silo. Then I have my water heater page, which is doing kind of similar to what we talked about the other silos do. That's going to link to the others, or maybe it's part of its own silo and link to those, but I'm going to link back to the homepage through there, right? And that's going to be a silo part of a bigger, the overreaching, website, which is targeting, for the most part, plumbing in Dallas, because you're going to get way more benefit from your homepage than you will from a secondary page, right? But I see so many companies that are local that are putting, plumber in Texas. So that's generic. If somebody searches for plumber in Texas, what are the odds you can service them? Well, if you're in one city out of all the cities, it's pretty low, 5%. Even if you ranked for that term, how many people can't even do business with you? Rank for terms that people can do business with you if they search. If I'm Roto-Rooter and I have a location in every city in the US, then ranking for plumbers near me generally is fine, because I can probably serve everybody in the US that searches for that. But you don't need to rank for that. You probably need to rank for your keyword in your city. So use your homepage to target your most important keyword for your business, right? That's how the bottom of the funnel, people who are ready to buy. You want to be targeting people who are ready to buy. And I mentioned this as well. Now I can use Dallas plumber reviews for my reviews page. For my About Us page, maybe I call the About Us page plumbing experts in Dallas, right? So we can use real keywords. I don't need to say about. I can target a real keyword that people are searching for. And am I always going to rank for those? No, but you might, right? If you don't target a keyword, you have no chance of ranking for something, really. So this is how I want to target keywords and cities and build city and neighborhood pages, is by figuring out what people are searching for and targeting those searches, and then creating a structure that's going to be beneficial for each of those services to get the most link juice and potential to rank. So this has worked really well for me. I hope this is helpful. I hope this makes sense. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I am going to be doing a big test here in the next couple weeks on these neighborhoods. Everybody keeps saying, I know maybe not everybody here hears this, but everybody keeps saying, oh yeah, if I build a neighborhood page in this one location, it's going to rank. Those pages with no searches, I don't even think they get indexed. So to me, I think it's unlikely, but hey, if it works, it works. That's all I care about, right? So stay tuned for that. Otherwise, hope you have a great day, and we will see you on the next one.